What's happening, gang? Hope this finds everybody well. Welcome back to the Built for Pressure podcast with me, Will Foden. Today, I'm joined by a friend, client, someone who I massively love and trust when it comes down to high performance. Mr. Andrew Stoneham Knott, how are you, mate?
I'm very good. Lovely to be here.
Before we get into a bit of you, something I've been doing on the podcast is asking people what does Built for Pressure mean to you, and just sort of off the cuff from a gut reflex standpoint, how does that land?
Mate, for me, it's all about you and how you've helped me to kind of, I think, a big piece has been understand my energy and manage it better and really get to grips with a load of physical issues that I've developed over time through just bad training, bad movement, and solve it. So I guess Built for Pressure for me is about learning, like really just understanding things that I probably should have known more about, be it nutrition, how to train properly, connecting that with mindset and seeing how that stuff really comes together. And kind of coming out the other side of it and going, actually, I move better, I feel better, I have more energy. So it's just a big learning journey for me.
And
a great
people on the mat as well.
And destroying people on the mat, I think getting destroyed by people on the mat.
That's awesome. And just for the listeners, again, if anybody epitomises what I do in my company, this is the reason why we'll talk about a bit later about getting involved with Deep Sky and how that's going to sort of change the face of what leadership performance looks like. Just for the listeners, and just so they can get a bit of context about who you are, what's something about you that makes you you that they should probably understand or be curious about?
I think the funny thing about me I've realised over years is I'm basically a progress junkie. So I'm just one of these people who I just have to keep moving forward all the time. I'm no good at standing still. It doesn't work for me. And I feel like that in all parts of my life, really. I am not in a happy place if I'm just static, not going anywhere, not learning anything, not doing anything, not achieving anything. So, I mean, that's not to say I'm achieving wild things all the time, but just that I have to personally keep on ticking the boxes. I just have to keep moving forwards, and that kind of keeps me in a good place, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It takes one to know one, mate. That high achievement, everything's a win or a loss, and it's one of those things. I think because what we'll do, we were going to go just more around your programming and stuff, but I think it would be really poignant right now. Talk a little bit around what sort of built you to and sort of your background a little bit, just because I think that it's really important to know. Is I know your story, but a lot of people don't of where you've come from and how you've built companies, and now you're obviously with Deep Sky and Rise and that kind of thing. Take us back to when you first started again, you CEO of Miramar Global, which when you first started, when that wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
Whenever someone's looking at it, sort of being who's ambitious, like just like yourself, is like, I've got to be winning this thing. How did it come to fruition? How did it even be the thing? Not necessarily what it is now, because now it's obviously literally global, but more from right, cool, I'm going to start this.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I guess everyone's got all their own reasons for why they do this stuff. I'm definitely not born with some sort of life-changing purpose. I don't feel like I'm here to change the world or any of that stuff. If you do, great, but I haven't quite tapped into that.
Yeah.
But probably, I always wanted to be the master of my own destiny was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
And even when I left school, I was lucky enough to start a company that didn't work very well and left very quickly after doing that. Ended up going to university. And just from that first experience, it was like, right, I want to be doing something myself. I loved it, even though it didn't work. I then fell into the recruitment industry, which is probably not the sexiest place, right? It's not the sexiest industry. It's not the place where people are waking up and graduating from university thinking, right, let's be a headhunter. And actually, it's a side story, but I'm hoping we can kind of change the face of that a little bit.
Awesome.
But I think I was lucky to fall into the recruitment industry, is my take on it. It's actually a fascinating place if you love learning from people.
Yeah.
And I had a great time in the first few years at the company I landed at, but I pretty quickly realised that certainly my slightly maverick sales approach, and I was a bit of a lad in my early 20s, was probably not best set to sit in a corporate, certainly in the early days. So I was lucky enough to go and do another startup, which I did with some good mates of mine. That's still going, they're doing great. And I learned a lot, had a great time for 5 years. Then went to work for a bigger business and just try and learn from some people more experienced than me. And the truth is, doing that, I just quite quickly realised I don't want to do this for somebody else. I want to be the master of my own destiny. And I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't really see any barriers. I've never looked at something and thought, well,
that's not.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
So just do it.
Yeah.
I'd already the beauty of professional services, I think, as an industry in many senses, outside of being a lawyer where you've got to get qualifications and the rest of it, in the world of, say, recruitment and leadership and performance, actually, if you're good enough, you're good enough.
Yeah. It's quite a how do you say, black and white situation in such a grey area. Yeah,
it's meritocratic. Also, in its purest sense, in the sense that if we're not delivering a great service, you're not going to buy it.
No.
And even if you bought it once, you're definitely not going to buy it again. And then I don't have a business anyway.
No.
So in many senses, it was like, right, I had a really strong feeling about the recruitment industry because I felt it had done me really well in my early years in my career. It was, yes, it's sort of financially rewarding, but actually I'd met some brilliant people, and it's a really fascinating place when you turn up to work every day and you interview people.
Yeah.
Basically doing this.
Yeah, but not
all day.
Not with the big man behind the camera giving
no
you look
one's
sexy,
recorded it, thankfully. But it is an interesting place to sit and evolve and think and learn from all these people you're talking to all the time. So you build your own ideas. At the time, I'd fallen into working into a couple of particular sectors, which was predominantly sort of energy and finance. And actually, the world was changing a lot. This was 2009. We just had Lehman's. Things had gone pop, and I thought, look, let's build a business that looks at some of these big mega trends that are starting to change the way that companies are operating, and maybe even the way we're all thinking about the world a little bit, and try and serve those industry and spaces. And that's what we did. I went at it with a basic plan, and then it was, I think, like all good plans, you evolve, iterate, learn,
check in, do it again,
go again, and I've just been lucky to meet some great people along the way and get a few of them involved as well.
Mega. That is, I think whenever you look at somebody's journey, like, again, I've known you for a while, but not the whole time from start to finish. You can tell that by your personalities. We just had a conversation with Chris about being curious. You're extremely curious in relation to, well, why can't you do that?
Yeah.
And I think especially when you're looking to having something so audacious and ambitious, it's actually being naive enough to start, but then stubborn enough not to quit.
100%.
Because I think especially in sectors, again, you've gone from energy and finance to, I'm sure you across the board to deal with totally different sectors with different cultures, and especially we've both. You operate in Singapore, you operate in New York, but I've lived in Singapore too. The culture's different there. It's being not stubborn's the right word. Being stubborn enough to go, do you know what? I'm willing to sit here and learn this.
Yeah.
Compared to, I think what a lot of people who are trying to operate at high levels, they force their way in there from a place of aggression, where actually from a curiosity standpoint means you're way more adaptive. And I think for you, it comes across that way. It's like you've had that throughout the whole period of getting high-level specialists in. Instead of being, I'm a solo, I work by myself, I'm a coach. I do have, shout out Sam behind the camera, he's full-time with me, but it's not me against the world, so to speak, but it's a small, lean business.
Yeah.
But when you are looking for growth, how did you realize is that, because you again, Chris, correct me, being so high achieving, a lot of the time you want to achieve and you to achieve. There must have been a point or something that happened where you go, hang on a minute, I need team here. Or was it just purely from recruitment, you saw that firsthand?
It's an interesting question. So I am belligerent, ultimately. I'm a very belligerent human being, I get that. I'm also very humble, so I grew up in an environment of I never thought I was the best. I always I remember being younger and looking up and seeing other people thinking, wow, how did you do that? It's incredible. I never thought it could stop me doing it, but I was always impressed in some ways by what other people are doing. So when I got involved with this, you figure out over time that you actually want other people around.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up playing in teams, nowhere near to what you did, but I loved it. I think team sport is the answer, and I think
100%,
and I think business is a team sport fundamentally.
Yeah.
It is actually about how you get people together and play to each other's strengths and get, how together you achieve more. All these little these sayings, they
actually
true.
work compared to be put on like a LinkedIn profile, isn't it? Yeah.
They're definitely true. I think I got lucky is the truth, in the sense that the vision for my business was never to do it on my own.
Yeah.
I'd always envisaged trying to get great people that I'd met in the recruitment industry involved with me in some shape or form.
Nice.
I wasn't quite sure at the beginning what that form would look like. And then I just was really lucky that the first 2-3 people were a great fit. We built just a great bond, a great spirit. And I think other people saw that and wanted to be part of it. Yeah, we definitely didn't get the whole team building thing right at the beginning. I can tell you that. I mean, I think we're still trying to perfect that and make that work properly. That is
the more you grow, the more that'll have to be an iteration.
100%.
Because it's this, you can't. The more minds that are at play, the more grey the water becomes, just because of people dynamics. But then again, it's so nice to hear, because I think it's, especially for young, ambitious, entrepreneurial people. I've got friends of mine. I was in a meeting last week with some guys who are recruiting in Manchester, and they're small, but they're doing some huge work, like heavyweight deals and stuff. It's a similar thing. It's not about how big the team is, it's about how effective the team is. But like you said, you go from being 10, 20, 30 people to 300, 400, 500, or international or whatever. There's levels to the game, and I'm personally feeling that too when it comes down to sort of who I'm working with and how I'm operating in relation to level of service and what's the things that they're going to need. And actually, it's not about more, it's about better, and it's about improving speed, not an output, which effective output, not just output for output's sake, and maximising that. From a you standpoint, how do you, again, we can probably talk a little bit about how me and you sort of operate together, because I think it's really poignant. Before you jumped on board with me, and before you, because again, you've trained, you've worked in teams, and you've always had, health's always been on the mind. What was the biggest bottleneck before getting some coaching? What was the thing that was you were bumping up against?
I think so belligerence is kind of a useful thing, and it's really bloody unhelpful at the same time. So I was I've always bought into this concept of like healthy body, healthy mind.
Nice,
you know, the whole we all have different setups, don't we? I've got a noisy inner voice. I have to do something about that. And usually, I figured out a long time ago that usually starts with do some exercise in the morning. So it's been a long time that every day I've trained first thing, to the point probably where I ended up training way too much.
Sure.
And I think when we first got to know each other, I'd probably got to that point. I was doing loads of stuff and also just struggling with ongoing legacy, repetitive injuries. Sometimes also trying to figure out, well, why is my body not changing, but I'm doing this? And what is it? Why am I knackered? I think I'm high performing. I think I'm eating the right things. I'm training. I'm sleeping, but I'm still exhausted. What's wrong? I think it also overlaps a little bit with sort of moving past 40. I guess there's these milestone ages, aren't they? So you start thinking like, is my body not responding to me in the same way? What is it? So I think those niggles of the pain, so being in pain every day, still being tired, but still doing the work, and thinking, I'm missing something.
What's going on here?
I'm definitely missing something here.
It's especially with, like you said, the milestones in life. The big thing that I work with, and again similar to you, is you're always going to have that tame the inner monster.
Yeah,
I have it. Like if I don't train, my missus tells me to get out of the house. Like I'm horrible, because it's not a case. Like energy is a production of your physiology from how you train. And like you said, for being so belligerent, we know we can take you to a dark place. We know we can push you and really, really slam you in relation. Just pick it up or smash yourself on this, or that's an easy thing to do. Where actually, to be able to stay at the altitude that you are and have energy, not be in pain, and have hyper focus, that's a whole different playing field. And it's the same thing what we were saying around. It's not about more; it's about better. Yeah, and 100%. I think what would you think was the biggest aha moment between that? I've worked with you for over a year, so I know you well. But
it's been a couple of years now. The best moment at the very beginning was when you said to me, "Mate, you can eat 500 more calories a day."
Yeah.
I was like, never thought this would happen.
Yeah, what you want about? Eat more, look better. Are you stupid? Yeah.
So that was good. I think that what I saw was so I always planned my trainings. So it's interesting. Like obviously we now plan all the physical training stuff. When we first started doing stuff together, we actually stripped it all back. We looked at everything I eat, tracked everything, blood pressure, the whole shebang. you just start learning. I think, so me personally, if I'm learning, I'm progressing, it just fuels my energy even more. So actually, the minute you start going to me, right, I want you to track everything you eat, and I want to measure your blood pressure, and we're going to do your weight and everything else. You just start looking at it and analysing it, and you start also monitoring how you feel.
Sure.
And that was probably the big one, where you go, actually, I'm eating more, I'm training. I actually started training less. I think I went from training sort of 6-7 days a week down to 5.
Yeah.
I just felt a lot better. It stopped hurting so much.
Yeah.
And I don't mean hurting doing the training. I mean the pain,
it's in pain
when you wake up.
Yeah.
So, and I think, and that plays through into your mood.
Sure.
And your mind, right? And I that's what I mean. But it is healthy body, healthy mind.
100%. Yeah.
And I think if you're whacked out and exhausted because you're training but you're not eating, you've got a problem. So I think that was the big first learn from the stuff we were doing together. It was like, okay, you're being an idiot.
Yeah, cool. Again, mate, it's been so nice to watch that evolution, because I think it's like, I've always said, seek to understand and to be understood. It's the same that you said, the correlation between what's going in your mouth, how you're training, how you're feeling, is such an exploratory exercise in itself. And like you said, with the people that I work with many people in a similar position of, they want to just attack everything. Yeah. Which is all well and I'm up for it, let's go. But you earn the right to actually attack it at a pace that you're asking for. And it's not that you couldn't do it, because emotionally you could do it. It's just that you were driving with a handbrake on.
100%.
And the association with exercises, as you progress through the athleticism spectrum of, like, I'm going to play team sport, play rugby and do all that kind of stuff. And then suddenly I've finished that. I'm now cool, but I want to look better naked, be strong, and go to, and then it's a case of, okay, cool, but now I want to start BJJ and I want to run and all. Yeah. You earn the right to do so. And each one of them has a different context. Yeah. And I think, 100%. Like you said, back in the day, when you were like 25 to 30 to 35, it was like, eat nothing, go out on the piss 3 days a week, because in the corporate environment, it's a case around, like, socialising is the only way we can do anything. Yeah, and then turn up at a rugby match. And just up to half cut and let's go, and then go and get ended up, which is brilliant then. But now it's a case of playing a totally different game, which is your body won't lie to you. I similar to say healthy body, healthy mind. There's a huge argument about what's more important, and I say you can't think to a healthy body. No, you can get a healthy body to have a better mind. So it's not even a thing. That is how you do it. And the fundamentals are, if your personal standards aren't in check, if you haven't got your training locked in relation to your body, not what Instagram or what you found on ChatGPT, you've then got a process where, actually, hang on a minute, that bit's sorted. Now the bigger picture stuff is happening, which is, again, through the evolutions of your company. Because I'm adamant that if you train hard, you can rise to pressure. 100%. And I think that is such a forgotten art form now, because it's the truth that people want to be optimal in everything. But how can you be optimal if, especially when you're strapping your business to even now, like, you're playing a different level of the game, well, multiple employees, multinational. It still remains the same thing. You still train hard. You still look after your body from a nutrition standpoint. You recognise that actually not eating like a weapon and going to bed when you can. There are certain times certain times where it's not. We're turning this dial right up and we're going all in. But then you recognise you've got to recover. It's such a... There's a really interesting balance to it, right? Because I think... So I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who are the same way. Who they're good at building disciplines. Like you, I can build disciplines. That ain't a problem. Yeah. Definitely one of the things I've learned is that actually they become a problem in themselves. You become so rigid in your mental framework that it begins to actually eat you up. Yeah. And if you can't execute it... And you're not enjoying it anymore. Nah. You're doing the discipline because you're so disciplined. Yeah. Not because you really want to, or because you love it, or because you can see the upside for it. You're just... Sure. You're just in it. There's a coach that you sort of know as well, Daryl Scott, who helped me a lot with this, because it ate me up for a while. Sure. You're like, I'm doing all this stuff. Why am I not feeling good for it? And actually it's because sometimes there's got to be a bit of flexibility and fluidity in some rigid things breaks, man. Yeah, they do. 100%. It is such a... do you know what I could hear from that as well, because I know you. We can use it. Is the fun element to your performance? Yeah. I think so many professionals right now, they only associate like an analytical value of I'm winning and I'm losing, rather than actually enjoying what they're doing. Like you train in the gym, but you also go to BJJ, which is new for you, and you found a new phase of your athletic life now where it's actually getting choked out and getting smashed 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. And it's such an oxymoron, because especially when you want to achieve, you'll never beat jiu-jitsu. No, it's like 100%. Even if it doesn't matter what level you're playing at. And how How have you found that's what's the upstream effect of you finding something? Because again, you haven't found purpose. It's not a purpose. I'm trying to figure out the word. It's more, you found a vessel to put your athleticism in, so it doesn't just become health.
100%. Yeah, I tried. After I stopped playing rugby, I tried to get into triathlons. Yeah, I mean, I can't swim. I'm dreadful at running. And I'm crap on a bike, so I wasn't so good. And also, I just found it was just like, for someone like me, I can beast myself all day long, but it wasn't exactly fun.
No, yeah.
So then when I found Muay Thai first, and then fell into BJJ, and I'm safely saying I'm a terrible white belt who gets my ass handed to me. Don't tell him that. There's lying. It's true.
Dangerous man.
It's definitely true. But I guess there were a few things for me with that sport is it's a team sport. The funny thing about that is that you turn up, you meet these new people. There's new people who turn up often every day. There's immediate respect. There's immediate care for each other. There's actually just this core encouragement of trying to learn from each other. Whether you're brilliant, been doing this for years, or you're like me, basically terrible. So I think so for me that sort of the outlet was now I can do something that I like a bit of rough and tumble. I like a physical contact sport, and so now I've got one that I can do into my 50s and 60s. And I can keep learning from people. And I can't think of a single session I've ever done in BJJ where I didn't laugh a lot at some point. There is something funny happening. Yeah. They're just a great bunch of people. And it's such
I found it like it totally changed. BJJ changed my life for me in relation to rugby. Was very outcome driven. Yeah. I was very like, I have to play pro. I have to play for starting for Donny. I have to try and make it this. And in some respects, I did well, but nowhere near as far as I wanted to. Where jiu-jitsu was this endless journey of it's a case of you're learning a skill, but you've never mastered it.
Yeah.
And I've now learned to love actually be more self-aware of just the little things, like you said, the laughs, the new skills that you're going to be absolutely shit at because your body. Someone getting me to do barimbolo as a fridge door is not going to happen. But I love it, and I think that I'm lucky enough. With my gym is very similar. It's not about egos. There's like. If you're good at jiu-jitsu, you don't need to tell me you're good at jiu-jitsu.
No.
Whereas if you go into other combat sports like boxing, for example, sometimes it can be a bit with this alpha running around showing like how loud you can be. Where jiu-jitsu, it's the quietest, weirdest person who can bend like a pretzel, who within 30 seconds has ripped your effing head off. I love that a bit, and I think it appeases and it tames the monster, as you said, and it puts it in a vessel that gives you purpose. And I think something that executives struggle with when it comes to their health and performance, they haven't got a target.
Yeah.
The amount of them that, when I was in Singapore, the amount of people that used to come to me, who they just will just smash me, and they're weak, and they were getting on a watt bike, and their wattage was shit. Excuse my French, and the results were terrible. And they hated doing it, but they associated the pain with, they thought they were going to get progress from it.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, that's not how you get. That's not how you win this. It's not about winning it. It's about staying in it.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that which I loved about being part of your journey is that not only have you taken charge of your health and performance, and it's a thing. This is what I've got to do. Your family know about it too, and they tell you to F off if you're being a weapon. Regularly. And get outside. You're chasing the boy up the front yard with the sled. But now it's a case of actually the upstream effect of that's not only from a personal standpoint of being more focused and having more gas to do more. It correlates everything in business.
Everything that I think it all is completely intertwined. Without majoring too much on the BJJ thing, I think this is probably true for all martial arts from what I've seen. The biggest problem I've had, and it's going to be a lifelong learn, I think, is that you realise that you're very highly strung, or certainly I do.
Yeah.
I'm intensely belligerent, and so I'm also very highly strung, and I can react.
Yeah.
And I think what you learn when you start doing these sports, it's the old Bruce Lee thing. It's sort of be water, my friend, right? Yeah. It's you've got to find a way to flow through and around. And actually, you think about your business, and a lot of what you're doing is you don't encounter a problem and then just try and kick the hell out of it.
Yeah.
You encounter a problem, you try and work with it, meander, create a solution. But actually, so much of what we do physically in our day-to-day life, even how we train or whatever we might do, we're pushing things. And actually, I've learned an enormous amount the last couple of years just about breathing, letting go. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but when I realised after a while that when I drive my car, I'm gripping the steering wheel really tight. And my coach had been on and on at me about muscling stuff, as he calls it.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realised, you're absolutely right. I don't need to hold this thing so tight.
You just press that one thing and
just relax a little bit. And actually, that's helped me massively in life. When I can lean into that mentality with everything, like when problems come up with business, instead of like reacting to it, calmly breathing, responding, thinking about how you're going to take it through.
Different ballgame.
It's an exact, and the same rules applies.
100%. Like Adam Grant, I read a book with him, and he talks around you're either trying to fight the problem or you're going to dance to the problem.
100%.
And if you're fighting it, you see the state of my face, the camera does too. I'll take a punch, no problem. I'll keep going. And similarly, you're much better looking than me, but more from a metaphoric standpoint. But if you dance with a problem, you have an opportunity to push and pull.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu is the same. Is like, actually, I got choked out my second session because I did exactly that. I had this little 50-kilo, little Asian, like skinny weed, stereotype geek, and he got me in a collar choke from side control. And I thought, sod this, I'm just going to drop my shoulder in here. I'm going to get him off me.
Yeah.
Boom, lights out, mate. And I had legs. And Alex Silver literally, he woke me up and he's like, mate, any longer, you'd have pissed yourself, my friend. And it literally was the biggest learning curve for me. Was my whole life was built around fighting everything. I think you maybe resonating 100%. From an underdog standpoint is like what got you to like seeing progress was your belligerence to not lose. Yeah. Not playing 100%. To win. It was like, I'm not losing. I'm going to stay in the fight with it. Now it's a case of
that's not a winning mentality.
No, and if you associate with an underdog, you'll always be an underdog.
100%.
Rather than if you go, cool, that got me here, but that's not going to get me there. And I think it's so nice to see the carryover between your physical performance and actually the lessons that you're getting from you into business is actually that is like recognizing that I could do this all myself, but actually that's being belligerent, having a better team with specialists who are better than me.
100%.
Certainly, again, those that are watching this on both, the difference between you and Chris is massive because it's supposed to be his specialist. The specialist skills that make who you are the reason why the team flows, because you need different people in different situations, and you have it with your performance as well. There's a time and a place to grip it and rip it.
100%.
But there's also a time and a place where step back, calm.
Yeah.
And breathe. That kind of thing is massive.
Yeah.
That's wicked. I'd love to learn more a little bit about if you could go back to you talk about you. However, if I said your performance, you can coin that as you want.
Yeah.
If you go back with your performance in your career and for you, what's one thing that you wish you'd learned earlier to use, or one thing that you felt was a bottleneck that you've sort of dealt with?
I think there's probably a few. The biggest thing probably I figured out in my late 20s that I think would have helped me massively earlier was that self-awareness is the key to everything. Yeah. And that you might think you're self-aware, but you're only truly self-aware when you're understanding how you are making other people feel, both negatively and positively. And I think for me a big piece was actually realizing some of my behaviors. I might be winning in sales or business, but there's a little bit of a path of destruction that's behind me on the back of that. And actually I need people to come with me, and I'm going to have a whole lot more fun if they do too. So actually becoming much more aware of myself and my impact and how that can influence people, and how, to be honest, I've got to take a bit of responsibility for that.
100%,
well. That was the biggest one, I'd say. From a physical perspective, I think, and a nutrition perspective, I wish I'd learned the stuff that we learned back in my early 20s. I've got a twin brother who I remember in our 20s, he was always absolutely ripped, and I was like, I think I go to the gym as much as you do. I think I have more fun than you do too. Probably misbehave more than you do. But what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, now I know. He had some of what you knew.
It's such a... How did you? Again, this is something because I think people come into your way. Me and you've crossed paths, and we're very similar in respect to sort of attitude, values, and and the way that we operate. What was the moment that you felt that you were like where you took the vice grip away from the old version of you and you allowed it to breathe and find that self-awareness? Was there a particular moment, or was there a particular thing that happened? Or
I think so. That's a good question. There's probably a couple of things that have happened over time. Like from a business perspective, one of the interesting things that happened. This is a bit cliche, but I've been a bit of a self-help geek for many years. And actually, I read this book, which is by Brendan Burchard, and it's called High Performance Habits.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I get it. This is amazing.
Yeah,
so I was like, it's like a blueprint for the qualities you need to lean into. And I've spoken to someone else about this. One of the really interesting things about it is that you realise you're doing a lot of stuff right. So actually the affirmation of going, oh, these are high performance habits, and I've got some of these.
Yeah, you finally realise you're not broken.
It's not like you open a book and go, oh, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I remember I had a few advisors and mentors and people saying to me, you should do an MBA, or you should do this sort of advanced leadership training and all this stuff. And it was just never really for me. I didn't really want to go back into any sort of studying per se. I always wanted something where it was like really relevant to what I was doing every day. So funnily enough, I lent into that, but got into what he was saying, then started following some of his courses. And actually that immediately opened my mind to my thinking, and it helped me build a really, really effective review mechanism, which I've used now for probably 10 years plus. So I basically designed a weekly and monthly review tool, which I do religiously.
Nice.
And it effectively just helps me to, it's not just about what have I got to do next week, it's about what have I learned, how did I feel about it, what are the things I feel I can grow with and develop and change. So actually it's just helped me understand me better. And by doing that, I can actually evolve. Nice. Whereas before that, if I hadn't done that,
bull in a china shop.
It's just more belligerence, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's probably, looking back, that was the big turning point. And I think probably a lot of the success we've then got on to have as a business has been based on, if there's one sort of change, I'd say it probably is linked to that very thing.
That's epic. This is granular, but it interests me. Do you have that tool online or as a journal?
I have it online because I tried using it as a journal and found, well, one, my handwriting now is completely illegible. So I wouldn't know what I've written. To make doctor's handwriting look good, it's just ain't
terrible. It's spider with a crayon.
Yeah, it's dreadful. So quickly realised that didn't work. So actually, mentally, and I think I know where you're going with this, because there is this concept of you need. I do think there is something in that, but actually from an organisational perspective, I found it more useful. I think
it's knowing what works for you.
Yeah,
that's what I was more. It's very interesting because journaling and reflective practices is a very weird piece for many people who are driven our way.
Yeah,
because it seems wasted time. You're speaking about the past and you're like, what's the point? Where actually elite level performance is actually looking at the past and learning from it.
Yeah.
Whether you do that on the back of a napkin, on your iPad, or in a journal, it's more of a process where you actually take emotions and put them somewhere else, so actually you can think about them and then reflect, and that's the loop.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just interesting to hear, because some people are like very you have to have a pen that's worth 500 quid and a leatherback journal that's got your dad's initials on the back of it and all this kind of stuff. Others are like, they use Google Drive. Me personally, I'm a journal person only because I if I'm on a computer, I get distracted. So it's purely that perspective, and I can't.
I have both. It's the truth. Yeah. So I mean, what I've found quite interesting about it is you suddenly look back, and I've got a drive in OneDrive, and I've got every year.
Wow, nice.
And in that, I've got every week of every year.
Mega.
So it's quite. And every now and then I'll go back and look at it.
A little flick,
honest, not very often.
Not often, yeah. So you find them in the attic, innit? You're like, hang on a minute, 2 years ago I said this, It's
quite cool just having it there in OneDrive. I think there's an interesting game with AI. I've been thinking about whether I should load it into ChatGPT and ask it what it tells me about me.
Freak you out, mate. It'll start rinsing you, innit?
What's wrong
who's this weird bloke?
Exactly.
But no, I think it's massive, and it's a huge part of. It's been really, again, I'm lucky to be part of your journey in that respect. Is like mine's attracted in that respect of. You're not just looking for normal performance. You're trying to be the best at what you do.
Yeah.
Full stop. And it doesn't matter what it is. And actually having a process of reflection and assessment isn't just about your P&L. It's not just about your whatever, how many deals you've made or how many sales calls you've had. It's more actually you. How are you performing? How are you doing it? How are you bettering yourself? And how is that affecting everything else, right?
Some of it also is about your identity. And your identity can become very, very linked to what you're doing. So if you're... And I don't mean necessarily in a good way here, because I think my experience of trying to build a company is you almost become that company.
Yeah, you are your work.
That is your identity. That is you. It's kind of what you're known as and known for. And I think what I've found with some of these review processes, there also does have to be a space for your wife and your kids,
1,000,000%,
and your animals and your friends and your family. And so if you don't actually sit down and review what you're doing, or certainly I don't have the brain capacity. So if I didn't sit down and get this stuff out of my head and actually think about, well, how do I need to show up next week? I'd be bloody awful. I'd probably be divorced, actually. I think do you know what I mean? It's like I find that process of download, I do it every Friday and every Sunday.
Mega.
So it starts on Friday, finish it on Sunday. If I didn't do that, I think I'd be so useless to my wife. It's not even true. It would just be things spinning around my head. And so actually that's probably been game changing.
Massive. I think I have this very similarly, is it when you're so ambitious, the association with achievement is in everything.
Yeah.
The issue that you have is you're not trying to achieve something with your family apart from be with your family. There's not like an end of the tunnel. The end of the tunnel is you not being here anymore.
Yeah.
So I found that it's something that you're way ahead of me in relation to your youngsters are now growing up and they're men. Whereas mine, he's a little menace who's running around. Yesterday he had the dog bowl on his head and he's trying to drink out of it like his dad. Legend. Funny enough, I've actually got a photo I sent my missus. My mum found a photo of me with a potty on my head, and I turned around and George was there with a dog bowl on his head. It's just like mine.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think, and something that I've been exploring similarly, that is actually, it sounds quite selfish to be like quite analytical and quite locked in, but that it's like getting your training in or doing your weekly debrief. But actually, those two things make you a better person, better human, better dad, and more present. Yeah,
that's what I mean by self-awareness.
Yeah.
You've got, I think the best thing anyone can do who's trying to start a business, run a business, or forget businesses, just trying to achieve and do the best they can, is do this stuff. Because I think there's got to be a place for download and reflection. I think, everyone talks a lot about things like resilience and confidence. By definition, you can't be confident if you're not recognizing what you've achieved, downloading it, taking it into you, and then going and use it again. You can't really build resilience unless you recognize the challenges you've been through and take on those learnings and acknowledge that you can do it again. So I think actually to not review is going to be a massive handbrake on
100%. It's just such everything you see is inside a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a coach, right? And I don't pretend to be.
I think you are. But I challenge you on that. You are very good with people. So what leadership in my eyes is coaching.
Yeah,
because it's different. You take my job, mate. I teach you how to do nutrition. But it is. I feel like because you're so good with people, actually, there's a guy called Brett Bartholomew.
Yeah,
used to be a very high level S&C coach for the NFL. Totally sacked it off, and now runs a company called The Art of Coaching, which are people who are in leadership performance. They run some wicked courses on there. He's got an amazing book. Point being is that he recognised that the grey areas of leadership are the same grey areas of coaching, because you're trying to influence human behaviour.
Yeah.
The difference is this has just been who you are compared to like you haven't actively gone and figured it out. It's like, well, this is just how I operate, and which is so nice to see. Like we'll bring this into a piece of about Deep Sky itself and about how we connected through health and performance to start with, but now I'm lucky enough to be jumping on board and talking more around human optimization. How did Deep Sky come about? What does it do?
So I think the simple story is I started Miramar back in 2009. That's always been a journey of how do you help companies to have the greatest leaders, fundamentally. Like how do we create incredible performance in an organization by acquiring this great leadership talent? As we've gone through that over the years, recruitment's an interesting game. You build really deep relationships with people. So you go through these cycles. You really get to know and understand the people that are going into the companies, but you also understand the leaders who are operating in those companies as well. And I think there's probably a couple of things that were in my mind that I always felt like we can do more here. And one was, it's a big deal joining a company, changing job. It's intensely life-changing in many cases. These are big decisions, and I think actually there's always been this question of my mind of, well, how do you connect this concept of finding the greatest individual and helping them into that role, with then supporting them to true high performance and impact in that role that you're going to. And I know this is not a new industry, right? The people have been doing this for years. But that was one. The second piece was, we just noticed over the years that there seems to be what I'm going to frame the leadership gap that just seems to be emerging. You could argue we see it in society as well. So I'm not sure this is definitely a business piece. This is perhaps a social economic dynamic piece, as well, right? And I think corporates are seeing it because there's arguably not enough people who have either the will or the skill to become great leaders. Is that because the opportunity isn't there for them to learn, to tap into those skills to do that? Maybe. Is it because there aren't great enough role models, so not enough people want to do that anymore? And I'm sure there's also some structural stuff around it as well. Like, has the money been there in budgets for companies to truly invest in it as much as they want to? And I think you can look around and you can see some of the most successful companies. I'd hazard a guess. Most of them have got great internal development programs, and they fuel that leadership capability and growth. But those two issues really made us sit and say, well, actually, as we evolve our own business, how can we deliver more impact for the people and companies we serve? And I think the answer to that is, let's help deliver high performance to those individuals and teams, and to have a generative impact on the development of leadership capability in their organisation. So that's what Deep Sky really is all about.
Mega. How and from a contextual standpoint, you've got some amazing other coaches. I'm not going to call myself amazing, but I look the part. Everyone knows that I'm hard, but everyone else on there. But from a personal standpoint of bringing like-minded individuals together, but also specialists. What if someone was looking again? We'll try and put it on the shoe on the other foot and be like, okay, cool. Because again, I've aligned with you guys because you've got very similar missions in relation to. There's performance with a purpose has always been a strap that I've used for whoever I'm working with because it's so contextual to them. Yeah. What's going to be the factor that you feel in relation to the people that you've got in here? Why have you got these individuals in this room, and what could someone expect to have from the platform itself?
I think so. As we take Deep Sky and then move on to the launch of Rise, which is all about creating a true high performance platform, an environment where someone can go into that and engage with amazing content, but more importantly, have the opportunity to take part in workshops every month with their peers and learn from great coaches like your good self around the strategies and the tools that are going to deliver high performance. A lot of the stuff we've been talking about, right? These tools and strategies and techniques, I would definitely say that if I knew about them when I was 18, 19, 20, 25, 30, my God, they would have helped.
Different ballgame, yeah.
They really would have done. So how do we take that out, give it to existing leaders and give it to emerging ambitious leaders as well, and allow them to grow and develop? I think what they'll get from this team of coaches is just a brilliant bunch of people with some really holistic skill sets and experiences. All have been leaders of some shape or form in their past life before moving into the coaching side. So you've got truly holistic exposure, people who really understand everything from physical to nutrition to mindset to strategy to communications, to do this in a small business, a large business, and to do this all around the world. I think that's the power of having a small group of experts, but fundamentally a group of people who are all just, I think, brilliant human beings. Yeah, they want to deliver value for people. They want to see people thrive on the back of their interactions.
It's wicked for someone like myself, because I've always been very cautious about aligning with other people, not because I don't like other people, but because it's finding a place where you actually believe there's an incubator. Yeah. I think because coaching and leadership is such a grey contextual area, having the specialists in all realms. So I'll learn. I'm personally looking forward to learning off them, because 100%. Similar that sort of dynamic of I've never finished, and however much I'm a specialist, I'm also learning the outer edges of what that performance is important for me, but vice versa for leadership and people who are in that position. If you're not searching for the 1%, you're going to get left behind, especially in a day and age where it's moving at 100 miles an hour, and actually having a place where you've got human exposure and experience, not just artificial intelligence or a blanket-based program or a program that is just based off metrics rather than actually you as a person. I think, man, I'm so looking forward to it.
I think there's a lot of great educational stuff out there, and there's a lot of great content out there. But in reality, you're learning and truly being effective with these high performance tools and strategies is actually about talking to people who use them or have tried to use them or have tried and failed to use them and understanding how each different person adopts them. And I think actually a lot of this is about creating a common language of high performance. It's about actually going, well, let's understand what these themes are, because they show up differently for different people.
100%.
And some people have more confidence in some areas than others. It is a completely individual dynamic. But I do genuinely believe that people learn a huge amount more by sitting with a core group of peers and understanding actually, how does that work? What does that look like? How did you try that? Where did I go wrong?
And why and how? And all those things are very difficult to do when they're not, when they're in a just a short, sharp, contextual, like you said. And I think many people try and search for, it's all well and good doing a self-help book, but how do you integrate it into your process? It's all well and good for you to go and do a course, but how many of you have started a course and never finished it?
100%. Or do the course, learn everything from it for 3 months and then forget all
and suddenly something big comes in.
We've all done it. We all do it.
And we've got the scars to prove it. I think, but I'm really looking forward to it.
I think a lot of what we're trying to do around this is build a community, right? A group of people that can become part of this platform, part of this community, talk and engage with high performance, but hopefully also build friendships, perhaps some business partners along the way. And that creates guardrails and accountabilities and challenges and nudges that help people really kind of incubate these ideas and get them into their life.
100%, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Again, I massively appreciate your time. It's been wicked. I could chew your ear off for hours. We just talk about BJJ, but how bad we are. If anybody from again, this will be going out on platforms where people are exposed who are looking more of the business development and leadership stuff. Where can they find you? How can they engage with you? Just give them a shout. I'll obviously put these in the description.
Thank you, mate. Well, you can find me anywhere on LinkedIn, because I grew up as a headhunter, and one thing headhunters do is know how to stick stuff on LinkedIn. But Miramar Global is our overarching brand. DeepSkyLeaders.com is our leadership performance business, and Rise, about to launch in the next couple of weeks. You'll find it on www.readytorise.com.
Bosh, thank you very much for coming, mate. You legend. Thank you very much, team. I'll catch you guys soon.